Hello everyone and welcome to yet another YouTube video. Now, this is a bit of a different one. It's something that I thought I'll do because the advanced tech series is moving quite fast and there's not all that content that, I can talk about in there, seeing as it's meant to be pretty niche stuff that you won't be taught unless you are being coached by someone or for whatever other reason. So, this video is not part of the advanced tech series, but it can be thought of as being part of it, and I'm calling it emergency tactics. Why am I calling it emergency tactics? Because these are tactics that I've employed and I've seen people employ that have a 100% success rate. However, they only have that 100% success rate once. What do I mean by that? I mean, these are tactics that you should only ever employ when you are either being absolutely dominated and you want to shift the momentum, or as a last resort in case you're just having a really tough time with a particular team. So, what is the first emergency tactic? On a sense specifically, there are two you can employ, and they can either happen on B main, or they can happen on A. So they can either happen on B or on A side, but they both start around mid. The way this works is when you have, it requires a brimstone. So that's the first part. You have to lock in brimstone. Second of all, you have to convince your entire team to buy stingers. Bear with me. Once your entire team has stingers and you have bought 3 smokes and your stim pack, what you want to do is, as soon as the round ends, you want to have your smokes ready to put one there and put a smoke right there. The reason for this is you are going to smoke these, and as you're walking, once you're halfway to catwalk, you are going to chuck your stim down. As you get spread, you're going to run and you will have tree and sight. Your team will get onto site, you will close the door, and spike will be guaranteed yours. Things that need to be noted about this tactic in particular are that if the enemy team has an operator that pushes you out there, you might get the kill on them. However, if they are super aggressive and they push through your smokes, they might get a kill on you. This tactic is specifically designed to help confuse people, especially and if you haven't gone mid at all. So 2 things that need to be perfectly prepared for this tactic to function is for no one to ever be lurking mid, and for you to have brimstone. Once these 2 things are in place, all you have to do is convince your team to buy stingers and for you to smoke. Even better if you have 2 smokers, because then you can have someone use their alternative smokes to cut off rafters or whatever part of site you want to be on. Secondly, this tactic only works for getting the spike down. That is something that needs to be noted very clearly, as once you have the spike down, it is up to you to win the round. There is no tactic after that. It is purely down to your ability to play with your team and succeed in not helping the bomb go off. Tactic number 2, unironically, begins the same way. However, it involves a minor difference. You will have one person that will wait outside B main in this corner specifically, and the plan is quite simple. You place a smoke in top, you place a smoke mid bottom, and you place a smoke right like this so that it covers their spawn and most of market. Once these are down, you will start running, you will chuck your stim pack out of the smoke, and then using the steam, you will clear these sides, go through mid once again, and with your team take site. It should be noted that the difference between this tactic and the secondary tactic is that the person who waits here is entirely required to take out anyone that's playing lane or anyone that is lurking in market. The whole point of this is that the whole team is the distraction, and the lurking player is the one that capitalizes on distraction by making the most out of the tactic. These work specifically on Ascent, however they are not impossible to employ on other maps, as Bind A site is a very good example of pushing through the short on Bind A or showers on Bind A and achieving the same goal. However, in this video I will do lots of cut and pasting where I show you different tactics that are much more efficient on different maps. This tactic has been specifically one I've used in the past on Ascent, and it currently has a 100% success rate. It's worked ideally 10 out of 10 times. So, thank you for listening to this tactic, and I will have the next emergency tactic coming right up. Hello everyone, as you can see we are currently playing Bind. I should note that this strategy is specific for bind B, and the reason I'm making it is because I think it works really well. It's proven very useful for me in the past. However, it is quite difficult to pull off. You need a comp that has a lot of utility. Not utility in the sense of how good the characters are, but rather things that can either be thrown out or placed in a way that will distract the enemy. This is the emergency tactic on bind, and ideally it involves playing someone like Raze. Your ideal comp would be Raze, Fade, Cypher, potentially Breach, although not ideally. Um, Anyone who has throwables. Jet is a really good example. If you prefer playing Jet over Raze, then please pick Jet. The way this tactic functions is upon the relying of a few things going right for you. First of all, your smoker has to go be long no matter who they are. Second of all, you and your team have to effectively take control of hookah. Whether one of you dies or none of you die, which is the most ideal scenario, it doesn't really matter. The next step is your smoker will then proceed to use two very unusual smokes. The first one will be right here, and the second one will actually be right there, leaving this side of tube open and that side of backside open. The way this functions is that your smoker will then push to clear elbow. They cannot be peeked from here because it's smoked off unless the person pushes, but they will die from hookah if they push, and the person here will not be able to peek because they will either be too scared to push through the smoke with their teammate, or they will be playing too aggressive and will die from hookah once again. The second step is to chuck your grenades and your boombot as soon as possible and then blast back out of sight. If you are comfortable doing the smoke jet dash, that's good as well, but the entire key of this emergency tactic is to chuck whatever you have at the enemy. Now, why is this an emergency tactic and not just a regular play? Because it leaves you very starved for information and utility. As you saw, at the end of that, excluding my ultimate, I was completely out of any movement options or damage options, especially as Raze. The same applies to the rest of your team. You do not have time to wait with this tactic, it must be executed fast and efficient. Once you are on site, the story goes back to being able to control the spike to make it blow up, or to just stay alive long enough so that the person either misses the defuse or you take out the entire team. This relies a lot on having a comp that's very aggressive, people listening to you, and a lot of the time you will find that when I talk about emergency tactics it requires teamwork, but you could probably convince people to chuck a bunch of shit at the enemy team. It shouldn't really be that hard to do. Why do you want to put your smokes here and here? It makes your team really hard to trade, and if you blast back incorrectly and you see that there's two people waiting here, you can actually ricochet yourself off into the smoke, decreasing the likelihood of you getting shot or killed by quite a bit. This is the bind tactic. I don't really have any A-side tactics. Usually, if it doesn't work, splitting the team up is ideal because you'll have people drawing attention from cubby as you take buff. However, A-side is one of those places that can be very easily defended. A good strategy on A-side is to play Jet and Raze, and you have your smoker smoke deep into lamps like so. Raze will come up on this box, the Jet will have her dash ready, and you will buy shorties. This only works on round 1, where your kit will probably look something like this. No boombot, no your grenade and your 2 blast packs. Your Jet will launch ourselves with you to buy you time, and you two will have to use the shorty to take out whoever might be playing lamps. Why this one is more risky than the previous one is because there could be no one playing lamps, and then you are lamps, and then you're stuck for the rest of the round with the shorty, which, let's be honest, is really not the best gun in the game. That has been the emergency tactics on bind. These are all intended for attack. I will make an emergency tactics video for defense later on, but this one is specifically meant for attacking.